Now, we are about to move on to our fourth quarterfinals and casters. I'll bring over Kleenex if I need to, but don't be sad that this is our last game. Are you excited for the two players that we are about to see?
Well, I'm super excited, and this match will be amazing. The last match of today, but two amazing players, strifeCro and Dtwo. Are you guys excited?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I've been stoked. I've been wanting to commentate these games all day. I'm sad that we only have a few. I'm sad there's only 4 matches tomorrow is what I'm sad about, let alone the last one today. But yeah, super excited and super stoked for this one. Dtwo, actually, I put him in one of my top 4 picks to win Blizzcon if he could keep his nerves under control, because he tends to be a player whose nerves have gotten the better of him. But when he's calm and cool and collected, he plays fantastic. And of course, strifeCro, always solid, always on point, a guy who you could never count out of being able to win a tournament.
Absolutely. strifeCro, one of the favorites of the whole tournament. We've seen a couple of them already get knocked out. A couple of them still are alive. We already moved on to the semifinals, so now it's strifeCro's turn to play against Dtwo, and Dtwo is really the undersold player, the lesser-known player between the two of them, but not to be counted out at all. I agree, he absolutely is an amazing player when he is on point. He's done very well in the Blizzcon part of the tournament, and I can't wait to see more of that Dtwo.
Yeah. Well, we know a lot about those players, but we don't know everything. So maybe let's quickly look at the video about those two players, what they have to say, and how did they prepare for this.
I've been playing Hearthstone since I've gotten invited to the beta, which probably is around a year. I think I started playing around the end of last year. Joining Cloud9 for Hearthstone was really big. I had a lot of reservations about joining a team, and Cloud9 has been really cool. Like, they've basically given me like a lot of freedom to do kind of whatever. Like, you know, it's very undemanding per se.
As a Hearthstone player making Blizzcon, it's really what I've dreamed of since, I started picking up the game last year. And the thing that attracted me to Hearthstone in the first place was just that it looked incredibly fun. It was really simple. It required a lot of logic to, go through each move and to defeat your opponent.
The reason why I like Hearthstone is because it's just so accessible. I was playing other games before I started playing Hearthstone, and none of them were just as easy. Like, I could just search ladder and find a game so quickly. A big thing for me playing tournaments is just like the atmosphere around, and I really do like BlizzCon because I feel like where I've been playing, like, all the atmospheres have been really professional. When I win, I'll celebrate my victory with a bottle of champagne.
When you go into an important match, it's definitely important to focus on all the things you need to do during the match. When you get nervous, you might forget to do certain things, so it's important to remind yourself of the basics. To all the fans out there, thanks for supporting me, thanks for cheering me on. Hope to continue to get your support.
All right, guys, two fantastic players, two fantastic stories. Who do you think is favored to win this? Who has an edge? Skills.
Well, I would like to think that strifeCro is the favorite for a reason. We've seen him play amazing games, and he has a great setup of decks also that he's brought with him to this tournament. I think his strategy is really good. I think he's perhaps a slight favorite if I were to say on paper, but Dtwo absolutely going to be giving him a run for his money. And one of the things that Dtwo does really well, better than most other players, the reason that he's here in the first place is because he has been an online tournament player since forever. He grinds infinite online tournaments, and he always has a really strong, cohesive strategy to bring. That's what strifeCro is going to be fighting against.
Yeah, definitely he's done that. Both these players entering the stage, getting ready for their match. You saw some high fives getting thrown. These guys are pumped and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
I really like how calm Dtwo's been throughout this tournament. Again, I've said it before, his nerves have gotten the better of him in the past, but this tournament, he is on point. He's cold as ice. He is ready to get in these games and really show some action. But as far as you said, for a favorite, I think on paper, I have to give it to strifeCro. This has been one of the most consistent, dominant players throughout the course of Hearthstone, but Dtwo has been on fire lately. He just came off a win at the Battle of the Best tournament. And right here, I mean, he's been putting on some fantastic strings of wins throughout all of the Blizzcon stages up to this point.
Yeah,
it's really going to come down to who's making better decisions.
At this tournament, Dtwo was showing fantastic sportsmanship and fantastic skills. Like, he was able to come back from a really tough position when he was down 2 games, was able to win 3-2, if I remember correctly. So certainly a very strong mindset, and you have to have a very strong mindset when you're facing strifeCro, who is both an experienced StarCraft and Hearthstone player.
Yeah.
Yeah, strifeCro's been a member of the esports scene for a long time, so D2 is just now getting to a point where he's starting to be more comfortable with what's going on, with the big stage, with the big crowds, with all of the fans watching and all that pressure. I think he's going to be able to keep it together. If he can, I think that it really will be a tough match. Maybe anyone's game, certainly anyone's game.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest, and strifeCro, though, I expect him to be able to play to the best of his ability more for certain.
Oh, definitely.
Who do you think is favored with regards to their lineup? Because strifeCro will be running Hunter, Shaman, Warlock, Rogue, and D2 has Warrior, Priest, Warlock, and Hunter.
Right.
You know, it's really tough to say. That's one of the reasons why ban formats are so interesting, is because everyone has different opinions on what you should be banning from your opponent's lineup and why. And one of the things that I think I have to give a lot of credit to, you know, strifeCro specifically, is you know, it says, you see it right there. He's played so many different games, as Reels was saying. You know, really a veteran when it comes to this sort of thing. And in terms of Hearthstone, he has exercised all sorts of Hearthstone potential between band tournaments, non-band tournaments, just playing on ladder. Everything he does, he always seems to have a strategy that feels like it's just barely one step ahead of its opponent. But D2, again, phenomenal performances that he's been having. It seems like he always knows what his opponent's going to do, always is outthinking them, and it just has been incredible throughout the course of this. I can't stress it enough, really.
There might be something to the first pick, depending on what classes they decide to ban, and then after that, the classes that they decide to bring to the first game. Whoever can pick really well into that game and get an edge in game 1, it could be really important. I do think that strifeCro has more counters to D2's lineup than D2 has to strifeCro's, so I think that does give a slight game 1 advantage theoretically to strifeCro, because he might be more likely to quote-unquote pick correctly. But that's a slight edge, and it's still just who knows what they'll pick. So
it's fantastic how those players have different approaches to the game, because strifeCro has this background of a game developer, a game designer. Like, he's studying it right now, so he understands the game through and through.
Interesting. D2 chooses to ban out Shaman. Maybe he thought his Priest was going to get banned in this lineup, but strifeCro, you know, sticking to, again, a very similar strategy that I would expect Firebat, and kind of those very consistent, just strong player attitudes they have. He's banning out Hunter from D2 here. He just knows it's a strong deck, doesn't want to face against it. This may be, in my opinion, one of the first slip-ups that I think I've seen from D2.
Well, it is interesting. I'm not sure what his Warlock is going to be able to do against strifeCro's lineup. There's a lot of things there that are really dangerous to play the Warlock into. Although we have seen players navigate some very tricky games with Warlock, even playing Handlock into what are essentially considered counters. So these players do know how to navigate those games. It is not outside the realm of possibility by any stretch of the imagination. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen as soon as we get into the first game. Again, that first pick is going to be a big deal.
Something that I've noticed throughout the course of this tournament, by the way, is the lack of Warlock bans. You look at a lot of other tournaments, Warlock has been a big target for all these bans in here, and then when Warlock hasn't been banned, it's been getting led a lot as well. And as you can see right here in this first game that's underway, 2 Warlocks facing off against each other, and if I remember correctly, these are 2 very different Warlock decks.
Oh, yes.
Tell us a little bit about what's going on here.
So strifeCro is basically running a Zoo deck, and D2 is running a Handlock. So I think that the Warlocks, we haven't seen the Warlock ban because those players know each other's decks. They were playing the same decks last weekend. They were playing those decks this weekend, so both players have a lot of knowledge about what the build is, what cards are being used. That's why I think they didn't ban them. And Handlock versus Zoo, which deck is better?
I think a lot of it depends on the draw. You know, in my experience, I would say that the Giants Warlock and definitely stabilized. It's a lot less centered on getting cards in its hand, and it's more focused on just kind of developing early game minions and really taking advantage of its superior ability to clear the board with just one big swing. And then, of course, Molten Giants end up being a really big impact in this. But take a look at this hand. Reels, who do you think has the, just look at the hands, who do you think has the advantage?
This is tough. There is a lot of resilience, of course, in the Zoo decks nowadays to those board clears. Oh, and the Doomguard coming out too, that could be really important later.
The Doomguard will really come in handy, but Undertaker will be able to deal a lot of damage here. There are the Thrall minions. So strifeCro will be slowly getting some damage in, trying to develop his board presence. Also, Hunter Creeper is such a fantastic card because it's so sticky. Even if you remove it, you get the circle tokens there.
I do think that from the from the perspective of the handlock player, you do want to play against Zoo if you're going to play against another Warlock. I think that you're better off against Zoo than you are against another Warlock control deck that's just outright 50-50 with a lot of swingy things going on. There's swingy things going on in this matchup as well, but usually favored slightly towards the handlock, but you need the cards that can help clear things out.
Yeah, definitely. Just this spot, this spot's already gotten so difficult for strifeCro. How does he navigate this spot? Ancient Watcher being activated very early on with a Sun Fury Protector here.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of plan that Handlock is going to use in this matchup. Very similar to what it wants to do against Hunter. It just wants to get early stuff on the board, really get a lot of value from those battle cries, and really foregoing the hero power as much and relying more on Molten Giant. Where do you go from here if you're strifeCro?
strifeCro has a super powerful turn with a Juggler using your Hunter Creeper. You get a couple of knives and using Soulfire also to clear this 4-5. If he plays Juggler, maybe coins the Hunter Creeper, see when the Juggler lands, the Undertaker is being buffed, then he can Soulfire the 4-5.
Oh, wow. This is a minion.
Is he?
Okay,
oh,
nice.
Wow.
So 50-50 here.
Is he going to discard this Doomguard, or is he going to discard this Iron Beak Owl? Doomguard hits the bin. That's a lot of lost damage for strifeCro, but he's going to be pushing across the board now. So he's got it. This is an opportunity, I think, for strifeCro to realize this. And look at
this
that.
Iron Beak is actually a fantastic card to have in his hand right now.
Wow. Iron Beak, 4 more effective damage here.
If you're going to discard your Doomguard, I guess you hope your opponent plays a Twilight Drake.
Yeah.
If you get an Iron Beak, silence the 4-5, and land a dagger into it, that's so much value there.
This is just, I mean, so much can be happening this turn. I definitely expect a life tap here because I think we're all pretty sure that Iron Beak Owl is definitely
going to silence.
a play that's going to be happening here. And then,
Iron Beak is an MVP of this tournament, would you agree?
oh yeah, it's been played in almost every single deck so far, getting so much value. As minions continue to get stronger, text-based effects, I feel like Silence is going to continue to get stronger as well.
Yeah.
Knife missing a little bit, so he's forced to trade in one of the Haunted Creepers here. I don't think this is even really that bad a shape, though. If your opponent had a Hellfire, do you think they would have just Hellfire last turn?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His second Ancient Watcher.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. He needs to clear some of this out. Otherwise, it's going to be bad times ahead.
You have to develop the board somehow. Like, do you just play Farseer and pass? No, yeah, you probably have to Soulfire as well, but still.
God, this is a
Yeah, if you discard Shadow Flame.
maybe you have to life tap and hope things really go your way, but
Get a Molten Giant possibly?
this is looking rough. This is looking real rough for D2.
Well, Soulfire, do you hit up that Undertaker or do you kill the Knife Juggler?
Gosh, I mean, if you use Soulfire here, you also risk discarding Shadow Flame.
Yeah,
You basically can't discard Shadow Flame.
if you discard Shadow Flame, you can click Concede. All right, what is going on? Oh my God, it is for Shadow Flame.
Disaster has struck from both of these players on their Soulfires, but a little bit more fortune from strifeCro's side because D2 actually drew the Twilight Drake that turn too. It's kind of like a
It's true.
It was such a reversal of fortune.
It
seemed
really
like a-
was.
Yeah, definitely.
Discarding Doomguard was like, no, anything but that. Just kidding. Owl's pretty cool.
So now how comfortable does strifeCro feel here? Just going for face, should he be clearing the board at all, or do you think that he just has enough damage to make one big push and kind of ignore the fact that his opponent can attack however he sees fit with the
Well, you just seen Shadow Flame being discarded, but there might be a second Shadow Flame or a Hellfire top deck. I think it's still clear.
You know, that's actually a really good point. Is when you see Shadowflame discarded, are you thinking in your head maybe he has 2 copies of Shadowflame? Like, does that all? Do you account for that at all, or are you just really fist pumping that he discarded the Shadowflame?
Man, I imagine you're figuring at this point that you are ahead and you just don't want to lose to something crazy.
Yeah.
For me, that would be something like Molten Giant something.
Double Molten Giant taunt.
You know, Hellfire Molten Giant or something like that. And now that the Undertaker is out of range of a Hellfire, though, that does help you out a bit. And he's just willing to just go all in. And he even has the Nerubian Egg, too. So at this point, even Sludge Belcher is probably not going to do it. That's just going to get bashed through really quickly.
Yeah,
That's a fantastic card to get, but it's not enough.
That 5/4 under, that's a Harrison Jones taker. Or an Undertaker Jones. I'm going to stop trying
something like that. Good effort.
Defender of Argus. So not only was he protected from Hellfire, but just his Death Rattle minions alone is protected from Hellfire. The Nerubian Egg going to make a 4/4.
Exactly.
Harvest Golem's still going to be 2 powers. Everything working against D2 this game. And strifeCro putting on just a dominant performance.
Voidwalker is a blank, but still, strifeCro's board is really powerful. He can easily clear and like sneak in a couple of points of damage. He knows that there are no Molten Giants because if there will be a Molten Giant, it will be played.
Yeah, I imagine he's going to sacrifice this this 3/2 and this 2/2 to take this out and then use his Harvest Golem to clear up that 1/2 token.
By the way, this Undertaker is standing there from turn 1, just doing damage.
Yep, he's been the all-star of this game. We've actually seen less Undertakers than I would have imagined, maybe even going into the tournament these players have found.
Look at this, he's going to use the Undertaker instead. So strifeCro's sticking to his read here that there's no Hellfire or Shadowflame in sight for that. And that maybe it's not even that big of a deal. And he's just going to push your damage all the way. He says, have your Molten Giants. I got enough to push through it. I don't know what D2 can draw to get out of this.
Hellfire comes, but it's too
But
late.
I don't think it's Hellfire. It's too little, too late. And oh god, what? You can't even lifetime it. He doesn't have a Sun Fury or a Defender of Argus.
Okay, what you can do is lifetime first and then Hellfire.
It looks to me like maybe what he's resided to because there's no way he's going to get out of this.
Going for it.
Honorable Sudoku from D2. strifeCro is going to take game 1 on the back of what I would consider a disadvantageous matchup, but very well played from strifeCro, really maximizing every point of potential.
I think it's the first time I've seen Headlock limited to like only playing card by card. Like there were no choices at all. He was just, okay, what do? I draw Sludge Belcher, I play Sludge Belcher, then I draw something else, I just play it. Like there are no options, no choices.
Yep.
Well, now it leaves him with Warrior and Priest remaining. Priest, we've seen beaten by Zoo, even just as recently as last match by Firebat.
Yeah.
But normally Priest is quite good when it comes to playing against Zoo. I imagine now that that's what he's up against. That will be the choice that he'll make to try and be the equalizer for this match and try to stay in it. I do think that I'll stick to my guns and kind of say whoever wins game 1 has a big advantage. I do think strifeCro is probably going to take the match, but now it really is on D2 to prove me wrong.
D2 is an expert player with both Priest and Warrior. He shows some Warrior skills before, but I would agree that Priest is better matched against Zoo. You have so many board clears, you can stabilize, and after you stabilize, you can just heal up on and just defeat the Zoo right there. And Warrior, I think Warrior is just hindered a bit because Zoo is just getting armor. It's removing your removal kind of by attacking you and then removing your armor. And Brawl is not that effective as well because of the defraudal effects like the Ruben Egg and Harvest Golems. So I think Priest is safer, but on the other hand, if Priest doesn't get the cards, he will just lose. Like it's a reactive deck, and Zoo is asking questions, and Priest has to have the answers. If you miss the answers, you just lose there.
Yeah, for sure. That being said, I do think that Priest has a pretty distinct advantage in this matchup. I don't really think there's much question about it for people who have enough experience in this one. Between Wild Pyromancer, Holy Novas, just your mid-size minions that you have, the Akanai with a Circle of Healing combo, turning that into damage instead. You have so many things working in your favor in terms of trying to clear this board. I think that Priest is what you got to go with here. Because as you said, Warrior can do fine, but outside of Fiery War Axe, you'll find themselves just running out of cards too often and then falling way far behind because of the hero power from the Warlock after that.
I certainly agree. The players are ready, so let's go and see what is D2 going to pick? Is it a priest or a warrior? We are going to start a game right now. And I think it's going to be a priest.
Yeah, I think he's got to go with priest here. I think going with anything other than priest here was just probably bad news bears. I mean, you want to have this advantageous matchup and really push from there.
It is priest indeed, and he even gets to mulligan away Ysera and hopefully not have it stuck in his hand.
Yeah.
We saw that happen once already. If D2 can avoid the Ysera mind control disaster against Zoo, usually you have some kind of advantage. His hand is quite good. He's missing just maybe a circle of healing, but he even has Wild Pyro, and he has the coin. These are good things.
I think it's excellent. Like we asked him before, how does priest win versus warlock? And at first, you need a coin. Second, you need a pyromancer. He has both. He even has Northshire Cleric, which is a fantastic opener against the Leper Gnome, or even an Undertaker. You just you can draw cards. You can kill those minions. So I feel like D2 is in a very good position to stabilize.
Yeah, for sure. Power Word Shield about the only thing missing from that hand right now.
Right, Power Word Shield, a little bit later on, maybe a Circle of Healing, and he's going to be able to stop all of the early aggression that Zoo is going to be able to throw at him. Now an injured Blademaster shows up too, so even further towards the potential of, the insane potential of Circle of Healing.
Oh yeah. This board already getting a little bit scary, I think, if you're strifeCro. That Northshire Cleric is a looming presence right now.
It was almost certainly the #1 card he did not want to see on turn 1 from T2.
Well, because you can just kill the 2/1 and heal it, so...
Right?
Yeah.
And he can put a Voidwalker in the way, but that's not a lot of pressure if you were to do that. So really a lot on strifeCro here to figure out how to get around this Northshire Cleric even just from D2.
Yeah, I think it's still valuable to play the Voidwalker because you protect your Leper Gnome. Leper Gnome will continue doing damage.
Now, I was about to ask about the merit of actually being really aggressive here, because you can give your opponent a card in this position, like they are going to heal up the this Northshire Cleric here, but then you have the Knife Knuckler as a direct threat. I think that's a pretty good course of action. Your opponent gets a card. This is sort of like a, I mean, this is obviously a really big swing in cards and board position, stuff like that, but you at least get to take out this Northshire Cleric. It's not going to do too much damage, like so much that it gets out of hand.
Right, this Northshire Cleric is doing so much work already. Because also being a Zoo here, you have to kill it. Can't leave it on board, right?
I think you got to take out this Northshire Cleric. I don't think there's any question about it.
Wheels?
You've got to kill it. Maybe you don't have to kill it.
But just go straight. Just don't even attack. You don't even have to kill a priest either. Just sit there, let your knives do the work.
Do this or don't.
See how many knives you can throw in one game. That should be like a quest for like Hearthstone. It's like juggle 40 knives at your opponent's face.
What about Hero Power Pass?
Well, he has the option now. He can play Wild Pyromancer and leave his opponent just with a 1/1 Voidwalker. If that's what he wants to do, he has that option. He'll even be able to heal his Wild Pyromancer. I guess it'll have to still be a 3/1 though.
Yeah. He's got to think about a lot of different spots that are going to happen here too, because if he waits another turn, his opponent has Defender of Argus. It could put a couple of these minions a little bit out of reach.
Right.
Maybe so. Come
he
back
does
to
have
him.
Defender of Argus.
Yeah.
So.
If he waits too long, or even if he gets a Nerubian egg out, something like that, really start to put a lot of counter pressure on the idea of those board wipes. All of these things really coming into play here for D2. He's got to carefully navigate this turn, or things could get really out of control.
I still think like it's really worth it to play the Pyromancer and clear both the Direwolf and the Juggler. If you're left with one people Walker, that's the best.
This is something I've seen D2 do a lot, is play Injured Blademaster in spots where I don't typically see people play it, and it's been working out so good for him so far over the course of the last few weeks. It's just over and over again, people feel so threatened by this Injured Blademaster that it's acting like a 3-mana 4/3 taunt.
It is kind of like a forced trade, yeah.
Yeah.
They know that they need to get it out of there, otherwise it could just start taking over the game and end up trading for 3 minions instead of 1 when you had the chance.
Oh yeah.
I think this is a fantastic line of play because if you're comfortably sitting on 24 points of health, you know you will need your Pyromancer. If you use your Pyromancer next turn, you won't be able to clear with Vulcanized Soul Priest. So you can use the opportunity to develop a minion that's not necessarily needed to win the game right now. And I think it will work.
Well, oh, he lands the juggle too, so he has a choice here. He can keep his high power minions and go for the throat, or he can keep his 2/4 taunts.
You play around Holy Nova.
Gosh, I don't know. I think he's going to trade here. I don't think there's any question about it. I think you keep the higher power minions and really keep applying the pressure to your opponent. I like this play a lot.
Yeah, he takes a page from that.
Yep.
Aggressive look.
Oh,
Circle
wow.
of healing has arrived.
This is a no-brainer turn.
Fantastic card to get. He's able to clear the board.
That's not healing anymore. That's circle of damage when that Alkanite Soul Priest is in play. My
Circle
goodness.
of death.
Goodbye.
What a big swing on this board. D2 in a massive lead after that. strifeCro's got a lot of work to do to make up for it.
Well, there are so many combinations of cards that Priest has access to that makes this such a difficult matchup. One of the foremost is that one right there.
Yep.
Also, it makes strifeCro's hand super awkward. Do you play Flame him and just Defender Vargas? Like you would love to play Nerubian Egg and Defender Vargas there, but maybe you just life tap, see what you get, and then play Nerubian and Flame him.
I think this is sort of a game where you're forced to life tap a little bit more than you normally would have, just because you've fallen so far behind cards at this point.
Yeah,
Right.
I agree.
The resources in hand that you have in hand, or the resources that you have in hand, absolutely are not winning the game.
You know, that Voidwalker is actually a really important draw here, too, because that's going to challenge that Alkanite Soul Priest directly, and that's going to deny all those hero powers picking apart the rest of your board, things like this Flame Him that you're going to play over the course of the next couple turns. Really not looking like it, but that Voidwalker is one of the best cards I think you could have drawn right now.
Yeah, it was on card.
Wow.
Not anymore.
This news just went from bad to worse.
Oh my god.
For strifeCro.
Just coin. Do you steal the Voidwalker and silence the egg and kill the egg?
I think you can just steal the egg too and then use the Wild Pyromancer later. You know, when it's dealing damage to this board, you'll get a 4/4 from the egg.
At some point, I was testing the Nerubian Egg and a Priest deck when I was playing Nerubian Egg and a Pyromancer. So then you clear the board and you enable a 4/4 on your side.
Yeah, either way, either thing that he steals here, even if he does steal the egg, it'll be fine, and he's just going to silence the egg to it, and
That's exactly what he's going to do.
either play.
He has a taunt
great.
right now, and his hero power is so powerful against this small minion base deck.
Wow. strifeCro. There's a Doom Guard.
well.
I don't know if that's going to be enough, though. I mean, that'll just dive straight away to what's happening on this board here. And even with the Voidwalker out, he has to attack that first.
And normally, Doom Guard is a card that you love to see, and I guess it's okay,
Oh,
but
gosh. Well, say goodbye to your boy Strifecro. But there's a Shadow Word Death. Just the stars aligning for D2. He doesn't even need to draw these cards. It's just sealing the deal even more.
Just hero power to flame him.
Just rubbing it in.
just close your eyes and click, man.
Yeah, and then 7 points of damage coming across the board. D2 in a commanding position. Looks like he's going to be able to tie this game up. Abuse of
No
Sergeant.
cards, no board.
Yeah. That's not going to do it. He's going to life tap.
This is what Priest does so
gosh.
often. It is able to just dismantle Zoo. There's a reason why these players are bringing it to this type of tournament, and this is one of the reasons why it's almost certainly going to be on strifeCro now to figure out what he's going to do against the Priest of D2.
4, 7, 8. He's just a few points short of lethal, but this feels like it's effectively lethal to me because I just don't see any way that 17 points damage is getting dealt here. Thought Steal, why
And
not?
he's getting the minions.
Yeah, there's Hero Power picking off that Undertaker. Wild Power, he's just getting pressure on the board at this point.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is cleanup time
Yeah, there
for
are.
T2.
strifeCro's going to need a mirror. He's going to need like an 8-cost Deathwing if he wants to get out of this one. Lotheb instead.
Fantastic card, but it's not saving him.
Yeah.
He will be dead next turn. And
Another
Doom
Doom
Guard.
Guard, but too little, too late for strifeCro. A very strong start from D2 mid-game and end-game. D2's going to tie this series up 1-1.
I like it.
Great play. I
Great
think on
play.
both sides of
Great
this.
players. This was a counter deck, but still, D2 had like such a strong position from the beginning.
Yeah.
He was controlling everything, using his removal really wisely. The Angel Blade Master play was fantastic, just to use it as a big taunt.
Oh, yeah.
And well, I'm really excited to see how this will unfold. And strifeCro has to pick a deck now. Like, what is he going to take?
Well, he has both Hunter and Rogue waiting in the wings.
I love Rogue versus Priest.
Oh, do you? Wow.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah. All
As a
right.
matter of fact, I would love to play it
It's
every
almost
day.
like a perfect deck that strifeCro's got in his lineups here at this World Championship. How did that strategy get him so far?
Oh well, man, you know, you just think about strategies and then you think about counters and somehow it works out.
I agree. I think Rogue would be an excellent choice for this position.
Yeah.
Really strong deck versus Priest. Priest has very little interaction against the way that a lot of Rogue decks are going to play. Unless they draw Auchenai again in circle, be able to sweep out potentially a concealed Gadgetzay and Auctioneer, really prevent a lot of card draws from that. But
yeah, there's really, it's a two-part strategy for Priest. And number one is to have pressure early. One of the ways that you can win is to have Dark Cultist, injured Blade Master with a Circle of Healing, get that pressure going early. But almost always there will come a point in the game where your opponent is going to start to do rogue miracle things, and you need to shut it down before it gets too crazy. That's what he needs to find, that Auchenai, that circle.
And if you don't, you just lose. But our players are ready for the next match, so let's quickly jump to the game and see the Rogue versus Priest. All right, guys.
Wow. Oh, it just already feels icky when I'm in the Priest spot in this. Right straight away, though, Dtwo. Getting Auchenai in circle in his opening hand, I would be very surprised to see either of these cards mulligan.
Well, if he wants to get the aggro route, then he has to mulligan him away. Like, it depends. Maybe...
Wow.
Or does he?
Well,
or does he?
Wow, Injured Blade Master is a good card.
But Injured Blade Master last game, it was like a glorified Ironford Grizzly. It just got attacked straight away, just a 3-mana 4/3.
hey, well,
Great card.
Grizzly.
Maybe Ironford Grizzly is actually a pretty good card.
Well,
against,
if you don't
Zoo decks.
attack it, if it like it's Iron for Grizzly, and if you leave it alone, it becomes a Yeti, and you know, it grows on you.
Well, you kill my
does.
dream of Ironford
It's
Grizzly,
true.
all right.
All right. So what do you think about the hand from strifeCro? He needs the Gadget Auctioneer.
Yeah, I like keeping the poison here.
Guess what?
To make sure that you can threaten cards like Northsire Cleric if need be, but both of these players with very strong starts expect some fireworks this game. I would be stunned if D2 did not play Threaten and heal his opponent.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a great Priest play. Actually, a lot of players miss that when they're playing Priest, throw in that little combo there.
It is really easy to miss. It is pretty critical. It does set up for the rest of the game really well. And I do like his hand moving forward after that. After that turn 2 play, he's going to have a nice turn 3. So, really strong play by D2.
What do if you actually have it to drop? What do you do?
It's tough. It really is. Sometimes you really need to hold on to
Can you
those two
skip
drops.
it and like still heal your opponent?
I definitely always skip dropping cards on curve, so that way I can do funny things that are humorous for anyone who may be watching the event.
That's why you're casting the mistake.
Do you play this Blood Mage straight away? I feel like it's actually not that bad of an idea to just try to get the ball rolling and try to cycle a few cards.
Yeah, it is not bad at all. Second Circle of Healing is actually really good.
Are you going for the Angel Blade Master Circle?
Well,
Absolutely.
He does risk getting sapped right here, though.
Goes for it.
But this is how you win when you're playing Priest, is you get that pressure.
Yeah, as a priest, you have no room. Oh, he gets a sap. All right, but I wanted to say, like, as a priest, you have to take risks. You have to get, pressure your opponent as much as possible, because overall you're disadvantaged this matchup. Like, you don't have time to, figure out stuff and play around stuff. So he had to do it. But the sap, it's painful.
Yeah, that's definitely. He's going to think through his options anyway. This, again, one of the reasons why strifeCro has been so excellent, consistent throughout these games, is because even when he has obvious plays, he doesn't always make those obvious plays. He'll bide his time, really look through everything, make sure there isn't something that he's missing. Maybe he has a 2 or a 3 turn setup that he can put together here that could really give him a big advantage. That was something we saw Teray do very frequently throughout the course of the tournament. A lot of foresight. But Sap's just too good. He really doesn't have that many strong alternatives. D2, of course, not happy to see that. But, something else that's going to be happening from this as a consequence is maybe strifeCro's not thinking as much about Auchenai Circle now. That one of those Circle of Healings has been used.
Well, this enables strifeCro to actually kill this Injured Blade Master with a poison. Deadly poison on a weapon. He gets a conceal.
Wow.
His hand becomes fantastic.
I would say that it's almost unbeatable, but he does at least have Auchenai Circle to destroy it after it gets concealed, so that will be coming up pretty shortly here. If you can
But something else is if strifeCro decides to just wait for this Auctioneer and chain off a bunch more cards, that could be really dangerous for you too.
That's true.
So, do you develop Auctioneer right now? Are you afraid of the circle?
Well, he drew Azure Drake, so I think he's got a couple of options. You know, it's really tough not to coin conceal in this position, though. I think almost anyone who's played this deck has been there. This is, if outside of Alkanai Circle, you have almost won the game at this point, because there are so many card draws waiting in that hand for strifeCro. Thankfully for D2, he's got that combo, though.
He heals himself, and then he's going to combo Circle of Healing, being Circle of Death, clearing the board. And that's one of the ways how the priest can actually deal with this.
Pretty brutal. You know, he's got a strong response here, though. Shiv, going to be finishing it off.
Oh,
wow,
Shadow Step. What do you say to that, Reels?
No way. 4/4 is good enough.
Well, I hadn't seen Shadow Step in very many rogue decks lately. I actually wasn't
I see
aware
what
that
you're
strifeCro was running this version. I don't think I've seen much of his rogue.
Is he running an Alex Straza version that Ray was running before?
I wonder.
Or is it like...
No. I believe we saw this before. He's playing Violet Teacher and Leroy. In fact,
you're right.
I haven't seen his whole deck list, but it made me wonder if perhaps he was running just one Shadow Step. Because, of course, now, ultimately, when you do get through your whole deck, your end turn can only be one Shadow Step with Leroy. You can only play it twice in one turn now, not three times.
It's 5 mana now instead, so it's 5 mana and 3 mana.
Right.
And then you don't have the 11th mana to play Leroy again. That's actually... I haven't even thought about that. That's really next level.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. A lot of people do favor the Violet Teacher version now. It is a fantastic board control version. It takes advantage of the spell-heavy things that Rogue is already doing.
Well, that's why those guys are here playing in the World Championships. They are not afraid of experimenting, bringing their own ideas, their own decks.
There is that Leroy.
What do you guys think of that last turn? Was that a little bit quick from D2 there?
Oh.
He just straight away used silence on the 4/4 Edwin Van Cleef, and then used the Holy Nova on just the 2/2.
He was thinking about it. He was thinking about Holy Nova, but he was thinking about Holy Firing the Edwin, but he decided to do it.
Do you think at 30 life or 28 life, or do you think maybe he can just wait a couple turns?
You probably can Hero Power Pass, but you might be tempted to take action.
Many options.
Well, I'm not sure what else Holy Nova is doing in your deck. It seems like there aren't very many things in the Rogue deck that you're planning on killing with Holy Nova. So getting that 5 mana out of your hand and hoping that you draw something else to do doesn't seem so bad.
It's got Azure Drake to deal with too. This seems to me like a turn where you're almost certainly going to use this Holy Fire, but now you're starting to fall behind on cards. I don't feel very comfortable using Holy Nova here. That Wild Card was a little bit late.
It's just there for the pressure, and
he would have loved to have that turn too.
Right.
This is exactly the moment where
Oh my gosh.
Rogue is starting to win because of the card advantage and possibilities.
Unfortunately, Violet Teacher, he can't play Violet Teacher, Blood Mage, and Fan of Knives. He is 1 mana short from an ideal turn. And actually, I was saying earlier, there's not much that you would want to kill with the Holy Nova, but he does know, D2 absolutely knows that strifeCro is running Violet Teacher in his Rogue deck, and if there were ever to be 2 or 3 tokens in play, that would be something that you would need Holy Nova for, or a Wild Pyro
maybe even a Wild
for.
Pyromancer.
And, I don't blame him, though. D2 knows that you have to keep pressure up, and he's really reaching a bit by playing the Wild Pyro, but what else are you going to do?
Is there any value in using Deadly Poison here to create a token still?
I don't think so, and I think the reason is because you're just going to kill this Wild Pyromancer straight away.
So you just stuck into the Wild Pyro.
Yeah, so I think if anything, if you were going to make a token, you'd do Shadow Step, but it seems rather foolish with that Leroy in your hand. 6 extra damage potential there. strifeCro really taking it through there.
Yeah, I think his turn 9 is too strong if he holds it.
Oh, Shadow Mana is actually a cool card. You are able to steal Violet Teacher, but there's nothing to trade it into.
Yeah, there's nothing to do after that.
Yeah, this is, at this point now, the priest is basically run out of resources.
This is a priest turn. Turn 9, pass. Absolutely nothing to do. Another Azure Drake. strifeCro is he's put together everything he needs. Something that's really important I want to talk about is Auctioneer and how powerful it is in this situation. He drew a couple of cards off Auctioneer, and then D2 was able to clear the board, but just those couple of cards that Gadget and Auctioneer had drawn already put so much pressure on D2's board.
Hard advantage is really important.
Yeah.
Right now, Lotheb is fantastic as well because you're going to deal so much damage, and next turn is not going to do anything. You just shut him down. Like, you've seen him just passing the turn, doing nothing, and now after Lotheb, you're certain that nothing is going to happen anyway.
It's a 15 mana mind control. That's a little bit overnerfed, I think. It already went from 8 to 10 long ago. That's 10
that's
to 15.
too much.
No comment.
All right.
Looks like he's got 23 points of damage this turn.
Yep, he had 28.
Yeah.
Lotheb goes down.
Wow.
23.
Do you play this Azure Drake, see what you get.
And D2 doesn't have any more Circle of Healing, so that Auchenai is not going to be able to combo.
Yeah,
Shivers a lot of damage as well.
Oh, you know what? His board's filling up with these tokens. He actually is not going to be able to Leroy combo because he's going to have his board full from all the tokens that are on
You're
the board.
actually right.
He's just going to eviscerate face and fill up his board. And what does D2 need to get out of this position? I don't know, Reels. But it's got to happen here. Sludge Belcher is going to get sapped.
Yeah.
He needs a third Circle of Healing. He needs this to be Arena so he can have a third one of those available in his deck right now.
Third Circle of Healing would be amazing here. Well, I guess you do Belcher and pass concede.
Pass and then you can see. Let him see what they're going to draw.
Well, we are witnessing how bad this matchup is for Priest. It's really tough. Like he had removal, he had a good start, he was able to deal with Auctioneer. He even had injured Blade Master of Circle of Healing, and still he is staring at the full board. He can't do anything with it.
Well, we have seen Priest beat Miracle Rogue in this tournament, and it was on the back of the injured Blade Master followed by Circle of Healing that we saw in this game. But in those games, there was no sap to follow it up. This time, strifeCro had it and just took over the game the rest of the way.
Yeah, sap makes such a big difference.
It is a really
in this
important
matchup.
part.
If you see that Circle of Healing combo.
Yeah.
The D2 is going to kill 2 minions. Auchenai and heal. But this is it.
strifeCro says, thank you. I didn't have room to play Leroy. But now I do.
Leroy Jenkins. 6 points of damage coming across the board. Extra. That's enough to give strifeCro lethal. You know, I'm curious why he's counting here. Is he thinking about not showing D2 Leroy? Like maybe D2 hasn't seen Leroy so far?
Wow, I mean, we've seen it, though. We've seen it. Maybe he's just thinking perhaps he didn't study the VODs well enough, and maybe that's true.
That might be true. I mean, this is a very smart play. You don't want to reveal information. To this fantastic series. Great plays, great players.
Yeah. Maybe strifeCro's just showing off his math skills there. He's like, hey, by the way, I could have killed him with Leroy, but I also have enough for exact lethal with this really obscure trade in one of my tokens so I can deal an extra point of damage off this combo with my SI7.
Right.
Just to refresh his mind, you know.
just solving it's like a little challenge, like one of those puzzles you see, and you're like, oh, that's...
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you can do it. You know, it's a bit late, and he was playing a difficult matchup, so you might want to have this, like, you know, cherry in the top.
Yeah. Make sure your mind's fresh that you're going into these games. You're not overlooking anything.
Reels, tell me about the deck lists, the decks.
Yeah, D2. Now he's down to his possibly final deck of the tournament, and is it good news, Admirable? He's got Warrior against Rogue.
How do you like it?
It really kind of depends on how the Warrior's going to open up. You know, I think that Rogue typically tends to be favored in this matchup, but, you know, Rogue still has to draw an Auctioneer. If it doesn't draw an Auctioneer, it sees a really big drop-off in some of its win rate. But if the Warrior can put together sort of an aggressive early start, like say he's got an Armor Smith followed by a Cruel Taskmaster, and he can start putting together some pressure on some damage, and then maybe he can actually just use weapons to start attacking. That's actually how Savitz beat me at the WCA. He killed me on turn 8 while he was playing Warrior and I was playing Miracle Rogue.
Yeah,
and my version was very aggressive. I had Cold Light Oracles to make sure that I was drawing to everything I needed. And against Warrior, that's a fantastic plan of action because they're not going to be developing their board early. They're so focused in the late game.
How important Violet Teacher is in this matchup?
Well, I think it can be really important, but it just sort of depends. To me, it feels like another card that just gets attacked by Fiery Rex. I think the more important combo in this is going to be how much Leroy and Shadow Step influences his burst potential.
All right, Reels, do you agree?
I do think that Leroy and Shadow Step are something that can help strifeCro in this matchup. I do think it makes it a little bit more like how we've seen Miracle Rogue in the past defeat Warrior very often. But the reality is that Warrior can fight back.
All right.
They can fight back quite hard. Like Admirable said, sometimes they just come out with a bunch of pressure, kill your stuff, make a bunch of weapons, and hit you in the face with them.
All right, let's see the match. The players just started. We are seeing the mulligans. D2 has to win this game and another one to be able to advance. strifeCro, if he wins this, he advances to the semifinals.
Oh, he actually kept shield blocking his opening hand. I'm curious why he does that. Oh, and he picks up Alex. He's got Alexstrasza and Grommash already in his hand. That's 17 points of mana that he does not have access to until at least turn 8.
Almost certainly not what he wants to see.
Yeah, this is not... Okay, so there's an alternative way that Warrior can actually try to win as well, which is just armoring up so far that you actually have outlasted the amount of damage that Rogue can deal. And this is sort of a plan that a long time ago worked extremely well, but as Rogue has begun to, become more board-centric and throwing in some Earthring Farseers, and as Nimsh, you mentioned earlier, Violet Teacher, how important of a role does that play? Well, against the armor up a lot plan, it plays a huge role because these 1/1 tokens add up to a lot of damage at the end of the game.
I've seen a game. It was, I believe, Amaz was playing Warrior versus Cabrix was playing a Mulligan's Rogue. Cabrix was able to deal 51 points of damage, and Amaz won because he had 52. Because of armoring up all the time.
D2's even got Whirlwind too, so that's something else to know that's going to affect. Yeah, typically you don't see people shield block straight away like this, but for me it feels like D2, he feels like he's under pressure and that he needs to get something rolling or this game's going to slip away. And I think that's why he uses shield block.
I like it. He's recognizing the fact that his hand has Alexstrasza and Grommash, which aren't doing anything anytime soon. Other than that, the only thing that he really has that lines up well against possible rogue cards is a Lonely Shield Slam. Finding more action is really important. He ends up getting the Death Bite. He didn't know that was coming, so he's just trying to dig into more action. It does cost him, of course, the armor up for that turn. Now he sort of loses 2 armor in order to try to improve his hand.
That's very long term.
You need reactive cards. Like Rogue will be playing minions. Obviously, strifeCro is thinking about his options, and strifeCro is sometimes taking those different lines of play. Like I'm talking when I was talking to like different other pro players, they always say like this was a very weird play by strifeCro, and then after a couple of turns they say, wow,
And this happens all the time. This happens to me. This happens to a lot of people. strifeCro really thinks really well through what's going to happen. One of the best at doing just that.
Oh, yeah. Continuing to show that ability as well. Death Bite, this is a no-brainer with the Death Bite here, by the way. Just straight away get it in there, but...
Absolutely.
There's no potential for a Violet Teacher trick here, I don't think, because of this Death Bite. Ready to unleash its Death Rattle and clear out all these tokens.
That would be such an amazing turn with Violet Teacher, a coin, and the Deadly Poison.
If your opponent didn't have this Death Bite ready.
Right.
Yeah. The second durability of Death Bite is about as good as it gets. It is just about the perfect answer to Violet Teacher.
Oh, yeah.
And any number of tokens, of course. So,
is there any merit in like using Deadly Poison and then SI7 phase, reducing the armor and then dealing some damage, trying to bait out the Death Bite attack?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's exactly what he's thinking about right now is how he actually gets the Death Bite attack away. Of course, he's very content with just biding his time.
Yeah.
Using the cards better. Re-diring up. I think every single turn that something like that happens, it's really good for D2, by the way.
Yeah, the longer the game goes, the better for D2. He has Alexstrasza, he has Grommash, so he possibly has the combo to finish the game. So if Rogue continues to be passive, that's just great. And do you think this is a checkmate with this weapon?
It's certainly not checkmate. It is check. It does mean that right now, strifeCro does have to do something. He has to figure out how to get out of check, so to speak. And
so many
I think he may be forced to play SI. He could have done it last turn. Now that he's gone another turn without drawing, an Auctioneer without drawing, an Azure Drake, those really heavy-hitting 5-drops that the Rogue deck plays, he's going to have to do something now to try to hopefully bait out the second charge of that weapon. If he can do it successfully, it kind of unlocks his Violet Teacher. Of course, D2 does have alternative answers and will be able to answer the SI7 agent without having to use his Death Spite. Perhaps he values the Shield Slam more, though, and that would play into the favor of strifeCro.
Wow. strifeCro not even going to choose to use the poison here. He'd rather hang on to it and make sure he can get as many draws as he can from Auctioneer. And that's exactly what he's going to do. This is a totally fine play, but I think if he was going to make something like this, I would like to see him do this last game.
Yeah, the thing is, he probably was trying to get one of those 5-drops. If he could have gotten one, it would have worked out just fine. And he does actually bait out the weapon,
So it somehow worked out for him.
Well, baits out the weapon. I think that D2 is likely going to use this weapon this turn anyway. He could pick up a couple of extra card draws here. Gosh, this is actually a little bit tough. Do you forego an armor up here since your plane has been very consistent? Just trying to get at a very high life total.
I think at this point you can actually be more aggressive. Rogue was super passive, and you have 30 points of life, 6 points of armor. There is nothing on board. There's only this weapon. If you Duskmaster the 1-2, is it a good play? I think armor up still is better. Like, you still have time. You have the combo. You have Grommash, Extraza.
Yeah,
Rogue is not really going to heal.
I'm thinking the same thing. I feel like you can just wait here pretty easily. As you said, he's been very passive so far. So if you just continue to armor up, that may buy you all the time you need to get this Alexstrasza and then this Grommash on board. And of course, you're going to want a cool Taskmaster activate your Grommash. That's 12 points of damage. But then between that and developing a Fiery Works at that point, you're looking at lethal in 4 turns for D2 here.
Yeah, just develop the Fiery Works turn 7 or even 8, then play Alexstrasza on 9. And on turn 10, you play Grommash with Cruel Taskmaster. That's game. So strifeCro needs to just win the board before that happens. He will have to answer the Alexstrasza as well.
well, it might even be go time. How many spells do you commit to this Violet Teacher?
I don't know. This feels really
Pay
brutal.
attention, class.
There's one. Well, I guess let's see what ends up happening. Ah, so just one. Okay. He goes ahead and seals. Try to keep himself safe from Shield Slime here. He intends to shred all the armor next turn. He knows that both shield blocks are gone.
Oh, this is a fantastic turn 8 play that D2 can exercise, but right now he can deal with this board with a simple Whirlwind.
Yeah, I think you want to hang on to Whirlwind at this point, though. Because if you Whirlwind now, your opponent is going to have more opportunities to utilize his tokens. That may be a bit soon, I think.
Well, D2 might be thinking about winning this game, so he wants to buy himself more time. What he needs is time. That's it. Like, he's not on defense. He's the aggressor right now. He's the beatdown.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point. I guess he kind of wants his opponent to commit to spells right now instead of committing to a defensive plan. I don't really know. It seems like almost regardless of which route he takes, his plan's going to be the same thing, which is just turn on Alexstrasza and turn 10, try to kill you with my Grommash.
Yep, that is more or less the plan right now. strifeCro has not drawn an Earthen Ring Farseer yet, so unless he can put together 40 damage over the next few turns, D2 will be able to go for it.
strifeCro still needs a gadget and Auctioneer to be able to dig at his deck. He has double preparation, which is a fantastic card if you have gadgets hand, but if you don't have it, it's just a 0 mana spell that doesn't help you at all.
Neros.
Yeah. Could eviscerate himself.
Yes.
He couldn't get a killing blow here. Instead, he's just going to give it up. And D2 ties this series 2 games to 2. And strifeCro now down to his last deck as well. And we've seen so many of these matches go to 5 games today.
He still has a Hunter, right?
Yeah, it's Hunter remaining now. It's game 5, Hunter versus Warrior. I think the tide has turned a little bit. D2 able to get out of a slightly unfavorable matchup, and now it is going to be strifeCro in game 5 who will have to get out of a slightly unfavorable matchup. Warrior quite good against Hunter. It's still very close to 50-50, but again, I think advantage D2.
Oh yeah, certainly. I mean, D2 has momentum. He just won versus strifeCro. So he's very positive about that, and strifeCro put himself in a weird position where he has to fight against the odds. And this matchup is difficult to play for both sides because Admiral, explain it to me. Like, how do you play as a Hunter? You just play your minions in attack and want to get a high main, or is there something more to that?
Well, I think high main is probably the most important card in this matchup. When you see Hunter dropping turn 6 Savannah high main, sometimes turn 5 Savannah high mains, and then following that up or leading into that with a lot of pressure, you see a much bigger win rate for Hunter in that sort of respect than you would see had they not drawn Savannah high main. Now, that being said, Warrior can get these kinds of draws that really throw their opponent off. Say they have Fiery War Axe for Undertaker and then Cruel Taskmaster for Leopard Gnomes, and just kind of follow through the entire way and have built up enough armor with Armor Smith, they can just shield slam a Savannah high main and kind of, in stride continue to take care of it. That's one of the ways it deals with those sorts of turns. But if it doesn't get a very strong lead and it doesn't have like a really strong answer to Savannah high main, we know, of course, we've heard Abaz say at the law of Savannah high main, if it attacks your face once, the Savannah high main player wins the game.
Yeah, I certainly agree to that, and this is a very tricky matchup. But I'm super excited to see game number 5, where those players of equal skill are going to face each other. One of them is going to be eliminated after this game, and one of them is going to advance to the semifinal. I think the players are ready right now, so we are going to jump into the game and see the mulligans. I'm so excited.
Yeah, buddy.
So many games.
Game 5, strifeCro versus D2. One of these guys is going home, and one of these guys is going to the top 4. Coming back tomorrow, $100,000 to first place on the line.
The moment of truth.
Oh gosh.
A possible world champion being born. What do you guys think about those hands?
I like D2's keep. Armor Smith, again, one of those really important cards. Acolyte can support Armor Smith in a lot of ways, really begin to give you some leverage. There's Savannah high main, though. And now this is really anyone's game. We got to see how both these players can lead through it. Animal Companion, of course, another fantastic card in this matchup. The Warrior has Deathbite now. It didn't have this before next Ramus. They were having to use something like Porcron Elite to try to deal with Animal Companions.
Right.
But now they feel, I think, like a great shape, but they have Deathbite, and the Whirlwind effect also followed it up.
Deathbite is a great answer. And it is one of the ways that they can stop the early pressure of the Hunter, and that is the thing that they need to do more than anything.
Web Spinner going to die. What is strifeCro going to get?
Is he going to draw King Crush?
Oh,
okay,
that's a
not
2-drop.
bad.
That's
Not
a 2-drop.
bad. Yeah, I think it's pretty good, especially we see Acolyte of Pain right there in the hand. This could also be potentially held for a Sledge Belcher. I think that's a pretty decent
Yeah,
pickup.
that's a fantastic card to get.
Your Web Spinner dies, and you get possibly the all-star card of the tournament. Hey, it's got to be pretty good.
Yeah. I think Animal Companion's going to be happening here.
100 Creeper is also a nice card to get. It's a turn 4 filler if you don't want to play well, you play Animal Companion here, but if you don't want to play the ball on turn 4,
and if he gets a Huffer, he gets a Leo.
Oh, it's a Leo.
Oh gosh.
So that is obviously the worst of the choices. It's still a very strong minion here.
It's not terrible.
And now, though, that the Acolyte of Pain is there, we could see a couple possible different things come out here from strifeCro.
Armsmith, and now there is an Acolyte, which is the best target you can have for the enemy.
Yeah, I mean, there is something to be said, though, the way his hand's panning out. He's going to need to curve into that Savannah Highman and really have it do some work. Maybe Sludge Belcher is something that's on his mind.
That's also true. And Owl is also a great answer to Sludge Belcher, or helps you get through it more effectively. It's one of the main reasons why Hunter players consider playing the Owl in the deck in the first place.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, this one, it just came off of a web spinner, but when they do play Owl, Sludge Belcher is one of the cards you're keeping in mind.
Yeah, there's something we know about strifeCro, though. It's that he loves to attack, the potential for his opponent to have access to options, vary again, similar to the same style we see Kalento play, really trying to restrict their opponent's options, so can't fault anyone for making a play like that.
I really like that play. Like he is denying the draw, and also on next turn he will be able to carve out really well with the Eagle Hardbow and the Haunted Keeper.
This is going to be so much pressure on strifeCro's side of the board, though. D2 starting to really put together a string of cards that's very threatening to strifeCro's ability to actually close this game out.
So what do you do now? Do you develop double Haunted Creeper and kill the Acolyte, or you just develop the Eagle Hornbow because you are getting a trap, a secret at some point?
Yeah, I just really I don't know exactly what his traps are. So do you know his full complement?
I think he is playing double Snake Trap and a Freezing Trap, but I'm not sure. Like at some point, I think we've seen 3 traps played.
Snake traps?
Like Snake Trap, Freezing Trap, Explosive Trap.
Yeah, Snake Trap's not going to be very good against his hand either. Actually, a second copy of Deathbite in there. How do you think you extended this board, Reels?
It doesn't seem like you have any perfect options. He's going to just go ahead and go for double Creeper. I think that's pretty reasonable. The Death's Bite, Death Rattle will go off before the Haunted Creepers, so he can't kill the Spectral Spiders with the Death's Bite. But now, the likelihood of a Sludge Belcher is very high, and that is almost certainly what's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Over there on D2's side of the board. So,
Sludge Belcher is a fantastic card against a Hunter.
Looking tough right now, I think, in strifeCro's spot. D2 really carefully weighing his decisions, making sure he doesn't make any mistakes. And again, I can't blame him for that. This is a do or die match for both of these players.
He's going face.
Oh, look at that, straight across from one.
This is a statement.
Yeah. Oh, well, Houndmaster actually is a good draw.
But D2 had just drawn Black Knight too. How much does that affect the board position? This could be one of those draws we saw the Twilight Drake earlier, where the Ironbeak Owl was, was the reversal of fortune. Are we going to see the exact same thing happen with the Black Knight here instead?
You guys like Eagle Hornbow here to just deal with this Sludge Belcher and use the hero power, or do you just drop Hymen and pass?
It can kind of go either way. I mean, I don't really like dropping the Hymen here because it's just directly threatened by what's on the board basically, but I think there's a lot of merit into using Eagle Hornbow and trying to develop your board and kind of go from there. But you're staring at that second charge of Death Spite. It's going to do a whirlwind effect, so your Snake Trap is just effectively gone.
So maybe what you can do is just attack the Sludge Belcher with the Mad Scientist, see what you get, and then decide.
I think that's definitely a realistic possibility. It seems like he's resided to this fate here, though.
What is it?
Getting a freezing trap.
That's actually not bad.
Definitely better than the Snake Trap.
Well, I think in this position it's not exactly good either.
It's also, that's true. I mean, I think it's not bad, though. Even denying one attack going the other way,
sure,
I think is going to work out pretty reasonably.
Bad. He's actually even going to attack with his Haunted Creeper. He just wants more tokens out.
Oh, Ascension. Having more taunts is always good versus Hunter.
This feels like, I think you're right. Actually, I don't think that Freezing Trap is that bad. It's really gonna prevent one of his Haunted Creeper tokens from dying, unless of course he chooses to do it this way. In which case, we're gonna see it both fight dust. Oh, he's even gonna proc the Freezing Trap with the Acolyte. Oh gosh, Reels, this is looking ugly if you're strifeCro.
Really scary.
D2 really taking control of this board now. Savannah Hymen, he's gonna have to be working overtime for this one, because strifeCro is just about out of cards. Animal Companion.
You have to drop the Hymen here.
This might be an insurmountable advantage as soon as the Hymen gets crushed down by the gigantic shield slam.
Yep. I think you're absolutely right. He's even got the option to cool Taskmaster.
He can easily nullify this high main.
He really needs to think through this turn.
Is he thinking about Taskmaster execute?
Well, it's certainly something that's going to come into his mind, and maybe he will do that. This lets him also develop his Death Spite. He can take care of the tokens straight away this way. He can also use that. Yeah. This also, a lot of times, this will draw something like a kill command out of your opponent's hand. That's 5 less damage you have to be worried about. Yeah. Extending into your face. Call me crazy, but it looks like D2 is going to start locking this one away.
I think D2 is in a great position to win this. Like he has full board. strifeCro has almost no pressure. D2 still has a shield block, and he can start armoring up from now. He is in a good position to defend himself and start pushing with damage to steal the game in a couple of turns.
He shut down the early pressure. He was able to take over the board. He's got a shield block in hand that is going to put the game almost entirely out of reach. D2 might be our final semi-finalist.
A second Leok getting made, too.
Aww.
I don't really know what he wants to make. I guess he wants to make a King Crush that has Divine Shield and Wind Fury.
Possibly. Maybe then he'll be able to like turn over the game.